The AR-15, America's most loved and demonized rifle, right here in my hands. And if you're looking to add a new rifle to your collection, or maybe even your first rifle, before you go to build or buy, take a look here at my top 5 AR-15 alternatives. Now, the AR is a fantastic platform, and one thing I want to say right off the get-go is one of its best attributes is the price. I mean, the barrier to entry could be 500 bucks. You know, it could be $2,000. You know, there's really high end, there's mid-grade, and there's low end. So for a lot of people, this falls into their price range. And if I were to compare something to the AR as far as price goes, I would have to put an AK on this list. But this list doesn't include a single AK, and so, well, not technically any AKs on this list. Now, you're going to want to stick around to the end of the video because some of these guns may make you really happy, like, oh man, it's my favorite gun. Some of you may be less than thrilled that I'm putting some of these guns above the AR. Now, we're going to throw price out the window in this video, like I said. Not because I have so much money in the bank, but because if you do save up a little bit more money, you can actually get better guns than the AR with a lot of cool features. But that is not to negate how awesome this gun is, how accessible, how much you can accessorize, you know, and how relatively cheaply those things can be done. Reliability, things that can protect you and your family. Don't get this video twisted. I love the AR platform. I just think there's some better options out there. And again, we're going to throw price out the window. I just want to reiterate that one more time. Let's get to the table and let me show you the very first gun that I think is better than the AR-15. The first rifle we're going to talk about is the AR-10. Now, I promise you, I'm going to show you some more exciting rifles than this, but this is the most comparable as far as price, and this one specifically is the Ruger SFAR. Now, it gives you some advantages over other 308 rifles, and it doesn't compromise in why the 308 is so good. So, basically the same size as an AR-15. You have all of the standard controls. This one specifically, you have like this split rail, so you can put your optic back here. You can put a flashlight up here. Has this wicked muzzle brake right there. Heavy duty barrel, adjustable gas system. Coming back to the rear, you have your bolt release, mag release on the other side, safety selector switch, charging handle, all that good stuff. Forward assist, right? So it's set up just like the AR platform, but if you're shooting 5, 6, 7, 800 yards, this is going to offer you the ballistic advantages of the 308. Now, this came along in the 50s when we were trying to replace the M1 Garand. Now, of course, the M14 kind of won out there, but eventually they downsized this, created the AR-15, and it took a while for guys in Vietnam to warm up to it, but the rest is pretty much just history. If you're hunting bigger game, if you're shooting at longer distances, if you want the aftermarket support that the AR platform is known for in a much more capable cartridge, the AR-10 is really a no-brainer. Now, of course, the recoil is going to be a little bit more, and you're going to have less capacity, and it's technically going to be heavier than most of your AR-15s. The Ruger SFAR just kind of stands out as one of those anomalies where the size really is not that much different than a traditional AR-15. Now, I said technically there's no AKs on this list, and this is not an AK, okay? But it did come slightly before the AK. This was developed in the 40s, and I know I'm going to butcher this, but I want to give it a shot anyways. Sergia, Gavril, Lovich, Seminov. So SKS. And it was designed to be a replacement for the Mosin Nagant. And what makes this rifle so good is its simplicity, right? So it uses a gas-operated system, very robust, kind of like the AK. And although the prices of these have gone up significantly over the years, they are still pretty damn affordable when you compare them to the AR platform, depending on the ones you go with. Now, this is an actual Russian SKS, but if you go with like the Norenkos, the Chinese-made ones, which are actually pretty well known for being reliable, you can still get them at a reasonable cost. You have a 10-round internal box magazine. Of course, you can get stripper clips too to aid in loading and unloading. A lot of people will sporterize these things, which I think completely ruins the look of them, but I understand why they were done back in the day. They didn't really realize, oh, well, this thing actually might be collectible and worth some money. Now, of course, this one has the awesome bayonet right there on the end, right? And so the only thing that I know of this bayonet has been used for is actually it cut open some brand new monsters I had in the back of my truck when I took this to the range last time. It may have been used for more than that, but in my hands, that's all it's been used for. Now, if you have any kind of issues with the gun, you have any kind of malfunctions in the magazine, it's really easy to kind of pop that open. You have your follower right there, and you can clear those things out really quickly. You, of course, have sling attachments back here. You have one in the front up there, and wood and steel guns just have more character to them, and this is no exception. And plus, the 7.62x39 is still commonly available, right? So you can get this round. It is a very well-respected round, and even with iron sights, I've shot this at 300 and 400 yards, and to be honest with you, it's pretty freaking accurate, dude. Now, it's harder to see, and of course, you're not going to have the convenience of a rail and easily be able to add the accessories and stuff that you can of an AR platform. But if you're looking for simplicity and you want something that has a ton of character to it, depending on when you get these things, man, plus historical value, the SKS is really hard to beat.
Okay, bring it up just a little bit. Get right underneath the target.
Okay. Got it?
Barely hit the bottom of the target.
Really? Okay. And on a side note, when you compare this to World War II rifles specifically, if you're talking about German rifles, not so much your Mosin Nagants, because those are still pretty cheap, but you know, your German-made guns from World War II, pretty much anything World War II, Cold War era rifles are still going to be most of the time cheaper than the World War II stuff. So you still get something with some character. You get something that was kind of developed during World War II, but still not going to hold as much significance. So it's going to be cheaper, and you still get one awesome rifle with all the markings and all of the stuff that you look for in a wood and steel gun from that time period. Now, remember when I said we were throwing price out the window? Well, that applies here for sure. This is the SCAR 17S. These things were developed in like, I don't know, 06 or 08 for the SOCOM program, right? And so this is like the ultimate battle rifle. Now, of course, now you have the SCAR 20, which is set up for even longer range, if that's something you want to do, up to 1,000 yards and probably more. The 17 to me just offers the best of both worlds because you get it chambered, of course, in 308. So even up to 800 yards, if you have a good enough scope and are good behind the trigger, of course, that is totally possible for you to do. One thing that this has going for it, of course, you have integrated sights into the rail, okay? Front and rear, of course. You have Picatinny rail, top, bottom, and on the side. They also have non-reciprocating versions of these. So this one, every single shot, the bolt is going to come back. It's a gas piston system too, by the way, so reliability is key with this gun. And it has been super reliable over the past, I think I've had this now for 2 years, maybe 3 years actually now. But anyways, you can get these in 5.56. You can get them, of course, in 308. They even make a pistol version now, which doesn't interest me too much. But regardless, of course, you get the just recognizability, right? If you play Call of Duty or you play pretty much any video game, everybody knows and loves the SCAR. So it has the cool factor as well. You have fully ambidextrous controls, which is pretty cool. So magazine release, your bolt release right there. Of course, your safety selector, mag release on that side as well. Forward assist. Shell deflector right there. Now, of course, one of the cons besides the price is the proprietary magazines that come along with this gun. That's just one of those things. They're kind of pricey, but they've been reliable as well. Now I'm rocking the Crimson Trace Hardline Pro on this. It's not my favorite optic I've ever used, but for this setup, it's pretty good. First focal plane, it does a pretty decent job. Of course, with these reciprocating scars, you want a heavy duty mount. I have a Bobro mount on here because this thing will eat your optics up. But if you want an updated, badass battle rifle, something that has been proven over and over and over, you want to save up some money, the Scar's the way to go. Of course, you have an adjustable gas system. And then it actually comes with a boot, right? The UGG boot, right there. Adjustable cheek rest, right here.
Low, left.
That was a hit, right?
Yeah, I heard it, but I didn't see it move.
It's hard to see. That's why I spray painted them black.
Yeah, hit. I can see it from the ground, really.
Six position adjustable stock. So you have a lot going on with this rifle. Yes, they are expensive, but if you want to do long distance shooting with one of the best and well-known rifles out there, the Scar is really hard to beat. Okay, so that went over his head. So hold down a little bit then. Yeah, hit. Hit. Right below it. Next rifle, I'm going to show you the MCX Spear LT. Now this one's in 7.62 by 39. You can get the MCX Spear, which is in 308. You can also get the Spear LT in 5.56, and they do have a 300 blackout version as well. That may just be an SBR though. I'll have to kind of check on that. But regardless, the Spear offers you a lot of cool things. It has design elements of the AR and of the AK. Obviously in the round, it's a piston driven system, so you get the reliability there as well. But then it's kind of something different too. So whereas the Scar up front, it feels kind of bulky in the handguard, on the Spear, because of this M-LOK design, it keeps it relatively clean and a lot slimmer up front. Even in the 308 version, it feels like a slimmer gun because of the handguard design that they use. Of course, you have this cutout here. It's an adjustable gas system. I can't wait to run this thing suppressed, by the way. I have a suppressor that's sitting in jail currently. Once it gets bailed out, I will be able to run this suppressed as well. So I look forward to doing that. You have, again, that two-tone FDE/copper look. Very similar to what the Scar looks like, although this is more of a bronze copper type of look to me anyways. Which, again, it has that cool factor. It just looks awesome. Now, this is a 28 round magazine. You can get the 30s. I've heard of reliability issues, so I decided not to go with those. I just went with the 28. You have the ambidextrous magazine release, bolt release, and the other side, you actually have a quick bolt release right here. Now, you have like the Radiant Raptor charging handle right there. You have a side folding stock right there. So it can be very compact like the Scar, but unlike the Scar, where I feel like some of the elements like the cheek rest and the stock on the Scar feel a little bit cheap to me, if I'm being honest. Nothing about this gun seems cheap. Ambidextrous safety selector right there. QD slots here in the rear if you want to run a sling. QD spot back here in the rear on the stock as well. Very slim trim design overall. Now, is this going to be as comfortable as a full-fledged cheek riser? No, not really. But I like the slim overall design. They shaved weight everywhere they could. And again, when it comes to the cool factor, the MCX Spear is awesome. But it's not just cool. This thing shoots amazing as well. And one of the best things I did is added this primary arms SLX. This is the Raptor 1-10 by 28, and this is a second focal plane. Okay, so you know, when you're shooting long range, obviously a first focal plane that allows you to get the reticle zoomed in when you zoom in, right? I kind of like the second focal plane because you get to see the bottom of the reticle. All the way around the reticle stays the same. So sometimes with first focal plane, if you go out so far, you can't see the bottom, and then you kind of crank up on the elevation. This way, at least it's all, you know, kind of the same. It's personal preference really, but you know, typically speaking, long range is going to be better with first focal plane. I don't know, I like that setup. That Raptor SLX is pretty freaking cool. Picatinny rail up top. So again, accessorizing this gun, although it's not going to be as accessible as the AR platform, you're still going to have a bunch of drop-in components. Plus, I think the trigger is actually better on this gun. It's a step above mil spec, which again is something I have an issue with the Scar. That one, even though it is a little bit older, the trigger is not great on that thing. So I almost feel like this is a step above, although the Scar has been proven as far as reliability for many more years than the MCX. I still really love this gun. All right, and the last gun that I want to talk about here, let's remove this pretty awesome AR15, but one of the better alternatives that I found is the X95. Now, I've had this gun since 2016. I actually bought it before the election, and it is a fantastic rifle. And so one thing you'll notice instantly, one of the advantages is the size, the length, the overall length. But you obviously still do get, let's collapse that all the way so you get a better read there, right, of the overall length. So you still get a 16-inch barrel, okay? So you get that same velocity. Now, granted, you know, in an AR platform, you can go to a 20-inch barrel, 18, 16, you know, whatever, obviously not counting pistols and stuff. But if you want to get it to a length, an overall length like this, you gotta SBR. There's no other way to actually, you know, get away with this. Not really get away with it, but the design, the action is in the back. So if we look at the AR platform here, where your action is up here, your stock's back here, your magazine is forward of your trigger, whereas your trigger, right, your magazine is rearward of your trigger on this one. All right, so it's a pretty cool design. You still get the full advantage, right, of the 16-inch barrel. This one specifically, you actually have these rail covers, so you can remove these or you can keep them on. So it gives you rail space up there. And honestly, this Holosun, dude, I've been rocking with that thing for so long. And I kind of have this one built as more of a CQB type of thing anyways. But 200, 300 yards, 300 yards really max with this thing right here. And even that's tough without a magnifier, just from my eyes. But regardless, you're not going to get sub MOA. But if you want a short overall package that you don't have to SBR, this is a great design. Now, of course, you got to learn the controls. They're obviously different. Side charging handle. The selector switch is pretty much in the same area. So is the magazine release. But, you know, obviously getting used to putting your magazine in back here with your bolt release and all that does take a little bit of adjustment. But for home defense, all right. This is obviously going to be ideal, right? Because you can get around corners. You don't have to worry too much about, you know, bumping into doorways and stuff like that. So inside of 300 yards, this thing is awesome, dude. And it'd be even better once I, you know, maybe put an LPVO on the top of this thing. So we're all zeroed out. One disadvantage to the bullpup design just inherently is going to be the weight. So the way I have it set up right here, 9 pounds, 1 ounce. It's actually not too bad with the sling, red dot, all that good stuff. With the AR, that is similarly set up. Let's make sure we get most of the sling on there. And an empty magazine, we're at 8 pounds, 1 ounce. So we save a full pound there. And so because of the way the action is designed, the bolt, all that good stuff, typically these are going to be a little bit heavier. So as great as the AR platform is, there's some alternatives that you know, in some cases are better depending on what you're using it for, and these are amongst my favorite. Now, if you like this type of content, man, please make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit your notifications so you never miss a video from me. Drop a like, drop a comment. What do you think the best AR-15 alternatives is? And hell, maybe I'll use that in a part 2. If you want to support me further, support me and Mrs. Headshot's efforts right here on YouTube. You can join this page, check out some of the cool tier rewards, or join us on Patreon as well. Big thanks to you guys. Thanks to our patrons, subscribers, Patreon members, everybody that helps me and this channel grow. See y'all in the next one. And as always, hold it down.